Good afternoon, Facebook. Today is, Saturday? Is it Saturday? Yeah, Saturday, May the 9th, 2020. The time is 2:14 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Had a little bit of difficulty beginning my live stream today. Out of nowhere, I was told that the browser I was using, which was Google Chrome, no longer supported the live producer within Facebook, and that I should download the beta version of Chrome or use Firefox. I attempted numerous times, at least 4 separate times, to download and install Chrome beta. It didn't work. Nothing changed. So I downloaded Firefox, and now it appears to be going all right. I'm going to keep things a little shorter today, as I usually do on the weekends. Even though I went out camping and didn't do a whole lot of broadcasting throughout the week, that's all right. Just to begin with the usual daily figures update, it looks like the United States is currently reporting 1,341,794 cases of coronavirus. And according to the latest updates from worldometers.info/coronavirus, the United States is looking at 79,895 coronavirus-related fatalities. In the state of Washington, we are currently sitting at 17,196 confirmed cases, and the state of Washington has currently lost a total of, 914 lives. Now, yesterday I made small mention of the fact that Governor Inslee here in Washington is being sued a second time. Or at least there's probably more lawsuits out there, but there's 2 that I've actually really dug into. And when he was asked how he would respond to the fact that he'd been sued, this is what he said. This is Governor Inslee's words. "I've just looked at it very briefly. I think it would be a horrific surprise to the over 800 families that have lost a loved one already to this pandemic to think that it is not a crisis. I believe that position is biologically ignorant and humanly heartless. Humanly heartless." So, biologically ignorant and humanly heartless. That's how Governor Inslee is responding to the fact that he's been sued. That's how he characterizes the people that have brought this lawsuit against him. And he went on to expand on this sentiment. This is what he said. "The politicians suing are not compliant with the science. That is very clear on this. That is, if we today released all of our efforts, if we stopped in our tracks halfway through this efforts or 2/3 through this effort, this virus is going to come back with a vengeance, and apparently as politicians, as far as I can tell, that doesn't bother them too much." Okay, so the people suing him don't care. According to him, the people suing him don't care about the loss of life. They're biologically ignorant, they're heartless, and they want to watch people die. Well, you know something? He keeps on talking, like I said yesterday, he keeps on talking about the science that backs this up. Okay? Now, he's quick to point out science and facts as being the basis upon which he makes his decisions, but he hardly ever really points to these facts, except he'll put up little cartoon drawings of dials pointing at a meter that goes from green to red. That's his science, okay? So he's implying that people bringing this lawsuit against him don't have science on their side. Well, I'm curious. Is it heartless or is it biologically ignorant to point out the following facts? This is from the lawsuit. "We've learned over the course of the last month and a half, COVID-19 presents a statistically insignificant threat to the health of children, young adults, healthy adults of middle and even slightly advanced age." That's scientifically predicated and proven. That's science. So does that fall into the category of humanly heartless or biologically ignorant, Governor Inslee? I'm curious. He said he only briefly looked at it, right? Well, I more than briefly looked at it. How about this? Does this fact fall under biologically ignorant or humanly heartless? The fact that 52% of the people who had died from coronavirus, 52% of them are over the age of 80. 91% of them are over the age of 60, and exactly 0 people under the age of 20 have died from coronavirus. So that fact, which is supported by science, what category does that fall under, Governor Inslee? Biologically ignorant? Humanly heartless? Non-compliant with science? How about this one? The state of Washington Department of Health has thus far refused to release data on the number of COVID-19 deaths or cases among the residents of nursing homes or long-term care facilities. That is a scientific piece of information that could go very far in refining our mitigation strategies. So, is that piece of information, under what category, Governor Inslee, does that fall? Does that fall under biologically ignorant or humanly heartless? No, I'm just curious. This is how the governor portrays anybody who disagrees with him and who has brought this lawsuit against him. How about this one? All evidence shows that the threat of COVID-19 is focused on long-term care facilities. Yet the state's response has not only been overbroad by locking down healthy and unthreatened people, it has also been slow and inadequate in those areas of greatest threat. Is that biologically ignorant? In Pierce County, with just over 40 cumulative deaths and 1,400 cases, a few congregate care settings made up the bulk of concentrations of the positive cases. Long-term extended care facilities where people are pretty much confined together by necessity. Pointing that out. Under what category is that, Governor? Biologically ignorant, humanly heartless? Non-compliant with science? Did you guys know that the state has not disclosed which facilities have had the outbreaks? I would think that's a useful piece of information to disseminate. Perhaps it's not politically convenient, Governor Inslee, but I think it's scientifically relevant. The state has also not disclosed any information regarding the comorbidities of those who have died with COVID-19. Now, people have known this from the very beginning. The most vulnerable people, the people who are at the greatest risk of perishing from this disease, are the ones who have at least one, and in many cases more than one, underlying serious illness. An illness that was already threatening their life, which when combined with COVID-19 became fatal. Washington State has not disclosed any information regarding the comorbidities of those who have died with COVID-19. Why not? Would it not be biologically relevant for us to know that? Minnesota, by contrast, has made clear that over 99% of the deaths in their state are among people with at least one serious comorbidity. At least one. Minnesota was not shy about releasing that information. Why, Governor Inslee, are you? What's going on with seroprevalence testing in our state? The national news media has been pretty open about the fact that there's 2 such surveys that have taken place in the state of California, one in Santa Clara County, one in Los Angeles County. And as I have said over and over again on this webcast, the results of that test have proven that the number of people who have caught this virus is anywhere between 28 and 55 times higher than the official numbers. These official numbers that I read every day. These are the official numbers, and these are the numbers that are considered valid and which are used in informing and justifying the lockdown measures we're seeing all across the country. And yet, sound scientific information which has been uncovered as a result of these seroprevalence surveys indicates these numbers represent a tiny fraction, 1/28th to 1/55th of the actual number of people who've gotten sick, meaning that the infection fatality rate is vanishingly small compared to what it's being said to be. Is it biologically ignorant, non-compliant with scientific facts, or humanly heartless to point that out, Governor Inslee? So we know of those 2 seroprevalence surveys taking place in California. There's another one in New York, which had the exact same results. Where are the antibody tests taking place in our state, Governor Inslee? And what are the results of those tests? You see, the governor, in his decision to smear and attack the people who are bringing this suit against him, and who doesn't examine the type of scientific facts and truly relevant information that I have just touched on very briefly, he hasn't addressed a single one of these things to the public. I'm sure his legal team is coming up with a flowery response to what's written in this lawsuit. But he has not addressed these concerns with the public at all. All he wants to do is imply that anybody who disagrees with his decision to prolong the state's lockdown just wants to see people die. To me, that is not indicative of strong leadership, nor is it representative of the cumulative voice of the state of Washington. It is meant to shun his political opponents and to shame them as well. That is a cheap tactic, motivated purely by politics. This state needs new leadership. This is weak. Thanks for listening. Be good to each other.